We are back like we ain't never left. It's your boy Q
and QMG.
Bring you guys into the Qniverse, where every week we talk about everything geeky, gaming, and nerdy, just like my show. Keep it G and more diversity. But without being said, no more playing around. We're back. It feels great to be back, man.
Yes, indeed.
We took a break. You know what I'm saying? It was a little dry spirit.
Well, it was less of a break and more of our equipment breaking, and then trying to find a replacement for it.
Hey, man, you can't let them know in the movie magic.
I mean,
you gotta let it be a facade. You gotta let the veil. You can't let them back there with the veil.
I mean, but saying technical difficulties is actually more appropriate than giving the dirt sheet dirt. So we was like, we had technical difficulties.
True, but it also was a little dry spell for a couple things. Thor was like the only biggest thing to come out.
And that movie was ass. You will not hear our thoughts and opinions on it.
I thought it was disappointing. I ain't gonna lie. But man, it feels great to be back. Feels great to be back here with my brother. Y'all thought we was gone. Y'all thought we was through. We ain't never through. Into the Qniverse will last forever. Even when your kids will be having Into the Qniverse. So thank y'all for tuning in. We got a great show for y'all. We're gonna be talking about some D23. We're also gonna be talking about the state of the DCEU and is it repairable? Can we get it back? And also we'll be talking just about some of the things going on in the geeky gaming universe. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. We got a great episode. This is amazing. I'm so hyped, man. I'm just glad to be back. I'm just glad to be back. And I'm glad you brought that up, Kumani, because you said Thor Love and Thunder was ass. I also agree that it was a very disappointing movie. They took one of the Marvel's greatest villains and they reduced him to a jobber, and I thought it was horrible. So I definitely want to get your small thoughts before we get into the episode on Thor Love and Thunder.
Okay, I'll give my very small thoughts right now. Taika Waititi should never direct another Marvel movie ever again, whether it be Thor, an original intentionally funny property, or him going, you know, I want to try something new.
I'm just gonna sip my tea while you say that.
No, he should not touch another movie. I'm not even gonna attack his character or anything. I will simply say his philosophy of just not paying attention to something because he found it he found it not good was terrible pacing for the story that you could have done with this, as I told Quentin off camera, and I think I've said it here as well. That movie contained at least 5 different plot points that could have been its on their own separate movies, but Taika was so concerned with being unnecessarily whimsical that it took away from the film incredibly. It worked with Ragnarok when people could foolishly say the first 2 Thor movies weren't anything to write home about, but once you get stuff like Endgame and Infinity War, Thor, where he's actually going through things and he's forced to confront his emotions, you can't go back to that. Facts. So ultimately, Thor Love and Thunder was a waste of time. It was a waste of Jane Thor. It was a waste of the cancer storyline.
Yes, I agree.
It was definitely a waste of Gore and introducing the other gods into the MCU.
I definitely agree.
And self-insert characters are never the answer, folks. They never, especially when the director is self-inserting himself. So, the only reason why I watched that movie again was because the bootleg I watched did not have the second post-credit scene. And even then, that was a waste of time to do. So,
but yeah, I definitely agree that once again, that a lot of things that people were expecting of this movie, when we did get it, there were watered down or even lesser versions. Jane Foster Thor, who I thought was a great character. I love Natalie Portman. I thought she should have been obviously Jane Foster Thor. I wasn't mad that she played the character. But the way they delivered it was almost like a disservice to her as an actor, to the character themselves. Also, Gore the God Butcher. I didn't have any problem with Christian Bale's look. After I got over that, I just wanted to see if they were going to make a compelling and great villain that maybe could even last beyond what we see from this Thor movie, but obviously we know how the MCU has a very bad reputation of killing off their villains, which they did in a way that I thought was kind of underwhelming.
Very much so.
They tried to give us this child Thor, like his daughter, his adopted daughter,
which was very left field, very unnecessary.
Yes.
I will just say this: in the comics, Jane doesn't die. She dies, but she doesn't stay dead. The whole point of that whole arc of hers is her understanding that her being Thor was kind of just like her conceding to death, but she actually had a lot more to do and a lot more to live for that wasn't defined by Thor, both literally and metaphorically.
Do you think this Natalie Portman's last role? Do you think she's officially dead? Because there are some things that theorize that she might come back as.
It all depends on if Natalie gave a shit or not to come back. Obviously, with the movies that we know are coming down the pipeline, I would very much think that they wouldn't just keep her dead because at the very least a multiverse Thor, where that's not the case or whatever the case may be. But if we're talking about a full-length Thor movie focused solely on Thor in a movie setting, I like it literally, like, again, it comes down to if Natalie gives a shit or not. But with what they did, I think that him adopting Gore's daughter, spoilers for a movie you shouldn't see, I think that was not good. I didn't like that. I didn't like that was because it just came out of left field. It wasn't set up.
Yeah.
The story wasn't like Thor being a dad. That wasn't some of the narrative points that they were touching on. It was Thor finding love, not Thor being a dad. So to flip that literally at the end of the movie, like that was something he was content in doing. That kind of, it felt unnecessary. And the whole they call themselves Love and Thunder. That works. That would work better. I would be okay
if it was Jane.
If it was Jane,
facts 100.
Making it's like Taika clearly wanted to do a movie about fatherhood. Hell, in the deleted scenes that they're putting out on the internet, they show that Zeus actually isn't a bad guy. He actually comes to Thor and gives him and helps him succeed and what.
Yeah, but not to cut you off, but since this is the deleted scene, does that count as an alternate path? Like that's not what they.
Yeah, it's obviously not, because the post credit scene is literally him at the
kill Thor.
Yeah, so it's that obviously holds no water.
I would have preferred the deleted scene.
I mean, Taika. It's very obvious Taika just did whatever he wanted to do, and just didn't really care about doing anything substantial. He just thought what he did was cool and didn't really care. So yeah, I personally Thor: Love and Thunder was a waste of time, and thank God Black Panther comes out, because I would very much not like Phase 4 to end with such a disappointment. Not saying Black Panther is yes, I am, but I think Love and Thunder was a waste of time. It was a waste of a cool concept in Jane Thor, something that has aged like fine wine, I will say, especially when you sidestep the whole constantly defending.
Would you think? Oh, I'm sorry, keep cutting you off. I was so happy to be back, man.
This is my last. I'm just gonna say the last point, and then talk to you. Now that you don't have to constantly have Jane defend her existence like they did in the comics initially. Now everyone knows Jane was Thor for a substantial amount of time. She has a bunch of cool things. So when you're adapting her, you can just go, okay, she's Thor. Here are the reasons, and then have her setup, and then just rock with that. You know, I just don't like the fact that we got Black Captain America, but still got regular dude Thor, because now that in the back of my mind, right or wrong, it's making me think that Sam might not have a lengthy tenure as Captain America. But that's just a personal thing.
And to go back to what you were saying as far as the Love and Thunder and the family aspect and the fatherhood, you know how you kind of think of how the movie should be done after the fact. Would you have had an issue if Valkyrie was the one who died, sacrificing herself, had battle dying, and Thor and Jane Thor become queen and king of Asgard?
Absolutely.
And then they you're right. And then but they still, say they still do Gore, and Love becomes their surrogate child. Do you have an issue with that?
Yes, because you can't because at that point, then everything they were saying about King Valkyrie in the press was bullshit. You can't sit there and try to champion her existence as like the first significant queer character in the MCU, which is what they absolutely did. just to, and to use the nomenclature, fridge her, kill her off, just to give the two straight white people the kingdom, when Thor's literally whole gimmick since at the very least
he doesn't want to be king of Asgard.
He doesn't want to be king. That's not what he after the events of Thor 1 and everything that happened, he's like, yeah, being king isn't for me because I'm still trying to convince myself to be if I am worthy. That's a trial in and of itself. And he now understands that, you know, to be king, that's not something he feels like he has to be. So I feel like killing Valkyrie off, and we haven't even seen her like be king all too much outside of the little things here and there. And then and Jane absolutely hasn't had any sort of like, we literally haven't seen Jane since 2013. So to, you know, suddenly put her in a position to be queen, I feel like that would be kind of out of left field too. So I just think that Taika was not the type of person, was not the person to make this movie. I genuinely don't.
Now I know we've been shitting on the movie, but I gotta talk about the points that I did like.
Oh well, man, you can just take it from here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think the comedy that they were trying to portray, like the jokes, I think they hit. I think they were the most funniest jokes, no, but they definitely did the intention. I laughed at every joke that they presented. The screaming goats, the love triangle between Thor, Mjolnir, and Stormbreaker, I thought was hilarious. I think Jane Foster and Valkyrie's their relationship in the movie was somewhat funny. Thor's scene where his clothes got flew off, and Zeus and all that. I didn't really care for Russell Crowe's portrayal of Zeus, but I thought that scene in the God's Kingdom was funny. I thought a lot of the jokes hit. I think that cost the movie a lot of heart, though. I don't think the weight of what they were saying was going to happen to the universe, I didn't feel like the weight was really there. Not at one point did I feel like, even with Jane dealing with cancer, didn't go to right to comical and all these. I didn't feel like there was a weight that was supposed to be on me, like I think that the movie should have had, with Gore going through what he was going through and Jane going through what she was going through. But other than that, I thought the jokes were really funny. I thought they hit. If that was Taika was going for to make me laugh, he did that. He succeeded in that. So
I will say that there are MCU movies that make me laugh. I am on the record as saying, as an Ant-Man and the Wasp defender, because I feel like people are way too hard on that particular movie. Like what was the expectation for that to, you know, not think that, not, you know, acknowledge and let the stuff slide. And, you know, I laughed watching Thor Ragnarok. The funniest scene to me is when he threw the ball against the window and it hit him in the head. I'm a slapstick guy. I'm sorry, but I can honestly say Taika's brand of comedy is not for me. It really isn't. And I normally get down with the New Zealand, Australian Flight of the Conchords type of comedy, but you know.
So do you feel like, now that we know that Taika isn't going to be in the helm of the fifth Stormfield, allegedly, do you feel like that'll be too much of a deviation? Because I feel like they're going to go definitely more darker. Do you feel like there'll be too much of a jarring deviation from what we've gotten in the last two Thor movies to just switch it like that back to darker and brooding?
It could, but it would be warranted, and let me tell you why. With Taika potentially stepping away and Thor 5 being in different hands, one, I can tell you straight up, at least on the social media sphere, that's what people want. They don't want another Taika-esque Thor story. It worked with Ragnarok, because at the time Thor was desperately trying to prove he was a cool Avenger in a lot of casual people's eyes. And Thor Ragnarok was a subversive enough movie to convince those people. Now,
including me, because I liked it.
Now, it was at the detriment of the things that were good about the first two movies when it came to his character,
which are like two of my least favorite Thor movies. But MCU movies. I'm sorry.
It did like the stuff that was good about Thor's portrayal in those movies took a hit, and that they didn't really resurge until Infinity War and Endgame. But those are the two movies I would pick up from. Is Infinity War and Endgame, because Infinity War, he was still telling jokes, but when it was time for Thanos to be brought to him,
me Thanos,
he was not playing no game.
So where's my nigga Beta Ray Bill at?
I mean, that's something if I'm being completely honest, he should have been the best friend and not Korg. And that's why I said directors being self-inserts are not good, because Taika just had to have Korg front and center when that obviously should have been Beta Ray Bill, because Beta Ray Bill is literally one of the most important Thor characters in his character
who has
history.
been relegated to a statue.
If that was, like, so it's very clumsy. Like, that's something that I like why Taika has been such a detriment, is because a lot of things, even the concept behind Thor Ragnarok, which I don't know if people know this, but the concept was how to make Loki look lame and how to make Thor look cool. And while I get that from a certain standpoint, that's Loki still important, and there's a way to balance that out without just doing it in the most lazily way, and like people wouldn't care. So my hope is that if there's a Thor 5 immediately, not immediately, but in the next 2 phases, I would hope it's a new guy with a different outlook, who obviously we can't deny that the comedic aspect is now ingrained with Thor. So a complete deviation.
What about a blend of both, maybe?
No, it can't be. I think that it can't be a blend of both, because then you'll just be compared to the two. So I think that you still need to have Thor be charismatic, but you need a Zack Snyder auteur director for Thor 5. You need somebody who is going to make Thor cool and make him do cool shit. We're tired
now not to cut you off, but I agree with that sentiment, because most of the Thor comedic timing comes from his fish out of water, almost, I don't want to say, you could say it, his egotistical nature, knowing that most of these adversaries and most of these serious situations aren't serious to him, because he's somewhat impervious, somewhat invulnerable, somewhat immortal, that some of these situations that to us as humans be like, whoa, this is.
I'm gonna hit you with this. This is why the gods, the war of the gods, can be. I don't know if that's, but that has so much potential, because now it's Thor fighting somebody on equal footing.
Yes,
something that hasn't happened since Thanos, really. Hela and Hela, because she was giving him that go-to.
Oh yeah, he really couldn't beat Hela.
So that's how you can solve that problem. And like I said, Thor has been the most consistently on paper written character, because he has not he believes in fighting for people, being, that's what he believes in. In the first movie, he took it to extremes like war. But from Avengers at the end of the first one, I'll say Avengers onward, he's been very stalwart. He's the guy who literally really does care, really takes losses hard. And I feel like there is a way to play that sincerely and still, do what you. I would argue that Thor is the most sincere MCU character besides Captain America.
I agree.
Like literally, like Thor, like one of my favorite scenes in Endgame is when Cap picked up the hammer. Thor's reaction,
like I knew it.
Like, that's my boy. I felt like my boy can do it. Like, he's in the club.
Let's get it.
So I feel like if you translate that seriously again, you can go. Like, I don't need any more reminders that Chris Hemsworth is funny. I know that. So show me the other things Chris Hemsworth can do that I also know. And then we're cooking with gas.
Definitely. So with that being said, I wouldn't say Thor is a must watch. If you just want to keep it as a one watch to the catalog of MCU, I'll say go watch it one time. Is it something that I'll put on my playlist for MCU movies? No. I'm pretty sure you won't as well.
Oh, I'll never watch that movie again.
Until you got to refresh yourself for 40 movies.
No, I haven't watched Ragnarok since I saw it in theaters. I can trust me. I can make that same decision with this one.
But before we get into D23, one more thing. It's Morbin time. Morbius has dropped on Netflix, one of the fastest movies to ever drop on Netflix after release in history.
It's still #1 this weekend. It's Cobra Kai. It's like not even.
Oh yeah, shout out Cobra Kai. I gotta shout out to my guys at Cobra Kai, all my gang. Season 5. Go tune in if you're a fan of Cobra Kai. If you're a fan of the Karate Kid, if you're a fan of corny 80s karate type movies, go watch Cobra Kai. It's awesome. It's lovely. Season 5 is good as well. Yes. Shout out to that.
And my point in bringing up Cobra Kai is that despite Cobra Kai being all that you said and getting rave from reviews, it is still #2 to Morbius.
That's fine with me.
And I will keep saying this, just because it's a meme of a seemingly poor movie does not mean eventually the word of mouth won't make it successful.
It's Morbin time.
Yes, the box office might not have been very good, but the restreaming sales, which Sony absolutely pays attention to,
Yes.
will guarantee a second film.
And that's funny because I'm finna watch it tonight. As soon as I get done with the show, I'm gonna go watch it.
I mean, a lot of people the people who literally seen the movie and didn't just say the meme said it would, at most it's a decent movie.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna go watch it. But yeah, so if you didn't want to watch Morbius in theaters because you didn't want to spend your money and you got a Netflix account, I suggest you go watch it if you haven't seen it. I haven't seen it as well, so I'm gonna watch it, see what's all the fuss is about, so I can just say it's Morbin time and not just be quoting to me.
No, see that's the thing though. You can only say Morbin time if you haven't seen.
Oh, so I can't. It's Morbin.
If you say Morbin time and you have seen the movie, then that's a faux pas.
But yeah, so D23 was this weekend, and might I say they dropped a lot of morsels. I was thinking more on the Marvel side, but it ended up getting some morsels from just Disney and Pixar as well. It was pretty interesting. QMG, I want to start with you. D23 Expo. Have you seen anything that has gotten you hype? And you can say yay or nay. Don't get too deep into it because we're gonna get deep into it. I just want to know, have you seen things that you are excited about?
I will say about a very, 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 very low yay, but not necessarily a nay, because the things I was yaying about, while few, very much hype, but there were far too many nays.
Facts. I would say yay as well. Like I said, there's a couple things, especially like I said, I was surprised on the Disney and Marvel side of some of the things that I actually got trailers for that I'm very excited about. The Star Wars, man. So we're gonna get into it, but first we'll start off with Marvel. These were the things that were officially announced to the public as well.
We can start with Disney because that's a nice little icebreaker rather than Marvel.
Well, I've already got up on screen now.
I mean, because the Disney stuff technically it was announced first. So
true, but I already got up on screen. I'm sorry.
Just go down.
I'm sorry. It's already up there.
They know, but okay.
But
because I don't want to. Because
it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so out of these, is there any? We got Werewolf by Night, we got Secret Invasion, we got Ironheart, Armor Wars, Thunderbolts, The Marvels, Daredevil Born Again, Echo, and Captain America New World Order. Out of these things, what were you most excited about? How did you feel? And some of the things that you aren't as excited about that might be sleepers.
Okay, so I want to get a couple of things out the way first. One, from what I heard about Captain America New World Order, I'm actually very weary about it because there's a lot of stuff about it that seems like it was not properly researched and it's poorly it's very poorly thought out, from the name to the actor playing the main bad guy to one of the characters they're introducing and their standings in the real world implications of it all and how Sam could be used to tackle these topics, which I'm not all too confident about, and that's all I'll say now. But I'll just, one last thing about that is that Marvel has a very slippery slope with this one, because they have to be cognizant of things like this when you're having a black man as Captain America,
especially in this climate,
and you're not just tackling that anymore. Now you're tackling things like the Israeli conflict and things like that. You are using a title and having a Jewish man in the title has very anti-Semitic ties, and those are very real concerns that the fan base absolutely should voice their opinions about, because it's, you're sending mixed messages.
So I'm not to cut you off, but but I don't feel like this. I want to get your thoughts. Do you feel like the MCU can? And now I'm pretty sure you're gonna say that's not what they're here for, but do you think the MCU can bring not light to subjects, but talk about subjects and get the conversation rolling about certain topics with their medium?
Here's the thing. I think superhero movies should absolutely do that, but I know the MCU is not equipped to do that. And I think, and the problem is, I don't think that is their major. I think that, like I said, they're not doing their due diligence. I think those are just simply backdrops, and they have no intention on.
It's like having a monkey host a party.
It's literally like they're not really putting any thought into this stuff. They're just doing it to do it, and then hope people might do the things, but ultimately in the product, it's not going to tackle these things. But they are there, and they're very problematic. And should be addressed in the real world sense and not glamorized or glossed over. But that's my overall feelings about Captain America New World. That's still over a year out. We will see where we go from there. Now for the other things, Echo, from what I read, definitely people seem to be excited for it.
I'm not actually.
It's a very good deal to have a straight up ASL American Sign.
Oh yeah, definitely
superhero on the dot. Like that's very interesting. Now
she didn't really capture me in Hawkeye.
Well, I mean, it's not. You're not. I mean, like I said, it's people are excited for it. They're like from what the footage was on, because spoilers, with the exception of 2 things. Everything else was exclusive to D23, which is absolutely stupid. Star Wars virtually showed everything.
Yeah.
All of the Disney products, they showed everything. Marvel having exclusive footage is absolutely stupid, because they are the ones that are, just for lack of a better term, are asking you to part with the most money. So if you got something to show, you show it then and there, and not just pussyfoot around it. I know, they're the biggest game in town and can virtually do what they want, but just because you can do what you want
don't mean you should do what you want.
So facts. Yeah, but Vincent, it's confirmed he's in there as King Van.
So do you believe Echo and Daredevil will be a little bit more closely tied together than just Vincent D'Onofrio?
Well, they said they've said numerous times that they're going to be heavily featured. I think they said they're both going to be in each other's series
heavily.
I don't know heavily, but I know that there will be a significant connection, because there's a significant connection in the comics.
Yes.
But from what I've heard, people were very much feeling what they saw. People the screen pull the graphic back up. What's next? I'm trying to go in order of what they did. They did show the Black Panther Wakanda Forever clip, which I'm very like, why that movie literally comes out in a couple of months. Why it was that not shown or anything like that? I know we just saw a Comic-Con trailer, but I'm like, you need to, like, I don't know, that should have been shown. But they showed that got people excited, as it should. Then they went into the Marvel. Well, no, the Marvel was the last thing. Yeah,
Mike, what's up?
What's up?
Nah, we ain't fussing today. We actually chilling. We just happy to be back, man.
Yeah, we
did just talk about Thor. You just missed it. We just had a whole 20 minutes about Thor.
But what's going on? What else? Ironheart. They introduced the Hood. Who they confirmed is the main villain of Ironheart.
Yes, played by my guy from She's Gotta Have It. He's a great actor. I forgot his full name.
Yeah, they did talked about that.
So, I'm glad you brought up the Hood. So before we get deeper into this, with the Hood, Mephisto?
No, because he's Dormammu. The Hood is connected to Dormammu. It's the cloak of Dormammu.
I thought that he was in hell with Mephisto as well in one storyline.
No, that's much later after he loses.
He loses the cloak.
It's literally Dormammu. It starts.
So you think the reason I brought up Mephisto is because MCU has had a track record of deviating from the original story.
Y'all need to hang this Mephisto stuff. I'm just gonna tell you.
No, I get it, but I'm saying they've deviated from it and gave us other storylines.
I genuinely don't think we're seeing Mephisto until we see Ghost Ride the Whip.
Okay,
it's that simple at this point in time. Yes. I know everybody wants to yell Mephisto because
damn right, damn right.
But if we didn't see Mephisto in No Way Home, which was the most Mephisto-ish thing that they could have Mephisto, we're not seeing Mephisto until either Johnny Blaze, Robbie Reyes, or anybody like that. Like,
okay, I can agree.
We're not seeing any.
Do you think it's gonna be Robbie Reyes is the next Ghost Rider, or do you think they're gonna have both Johnny Blaze and Robbie Reyes?
It could be Danny Ketch. It could be either of those 3 guys, but I think that we're not going to see Mephisto, Blackheart, that whole squad until then. But yeah, with Ironheart, I like to they said they showed stuff for Ironheart that was exclusive.
Yes.
Then they showed Werewolf by
Night.
No, I'm not on board with that. I was actually very insulted that was the first trailer that was the first trailer that they showed publicly. I'm like, and then they confirmed today. I don't know if that was a misprint or somebody misread it, but apparently it's going to be a comedy. It's not even going to be a horror special. So I'm like,
Well, it's gonna have horror aspects,
but it's not horror.
Yes.
Like, and it's, a lot of people have been bringing this up recently, and it's, I agree wholeheartedly. Folks need to stop. The MCU needs to stop trying to needs to stop being ashamed of their superhero stuff. They do. All it is that they just keep they keep holding the wrong mouse. They keep.
Are you trying to?
I was trying to see if it's the comments.
Okay.
But they keep doing stuff that is they keep doing stuff that's very, oh, this is lame. We know it's lame, and we're gonna make fun of it, or we're not gonna take it seriously. And I'm sick of it.
Yes.
And especially if it's like, okay, you have an opportunity to do something purely horror, and you're going for something funny, and you think making it gory is going to make up for it, and it doesn't. But yeah, Werewolf by Night, they didn't do anything for me. At most, I think we might see Mahershala's blade for the very first time before the movie
in the episode.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
Like straight up, not the voiceover like it was.
Yes, actual blade. Yeah, yes. That'll be pretty cool.
But even then,
which Marvel has been doing lately with these TV releases, and like they did in No Way Home, they introduced Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin right before Daredevil.
Before. Yeah, but again, I have no clue if that's gonna happen. That could be a wishful thinking thing that gets folks caught up.
Yes.
But yeah, Werewolf by Night didn't impress me. But they did have something else that impressed me, and that was the Secret Invasion.
Hey, we on the same page. I like that.
I will say this: Secret Invasion as a whole is one of my least favorite events. I'm not too fond of it. It did the trailer did give me Winter Soldier vibes, and with it being a series, that might be the case. But I want to see where this is going. The trailer looked interesting. It was cool seeing Nick Fury, but I said this a couple of months ago. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this, since the Skrulls, the first and last time we saw them,
they were good.
They were allies.
Yeah.
They were the good guys. They were not these people that were out to conquer like they were in the comics. They were refugees. But you can say, oh, zealots, that there's on another side that,
or there's a faction of Skrulls that want to rule, and that ain't indicative of all the Skrulls.
That could be the thing. But overall, I liked what I saw, but I'm not going to get my hopes all the way up just yet on Secret Invasion.
So let me go through a couple of mine. Let me start off where you left off at Secret Invasion. I thought the trailer was really well done. It really got me hype, got my hype factor up, because it seems like there's going to be so many espionage twists and turns. We honestly didn't even know if we were looking at the real Nick Fury through the whole trailer. And Maria Hill could have been a Skrull. We don't know. And I think that's the thing that really has it going. Emilia Clarke looks amazing as ever. So we definitely have something that could have a lot of twists and turns for what could be potentially a 6 to 8 episode series. I'm ready for it. Werewolf by Night, not as excited as I once was. Once I learned that it was going to be more tend to comedy, I thought it was going to be like a more of a old school horror show. Now that I know it's going to be leaning more to comedy, I'm not really feeling it. Captain America: New World Order, I'm actually somewhat excited for it, because I want to see Anthony Mackie's portrayal as full Captain America, like fully full movie Captain America. Echo and Daredevil, I'm definitely more excited for Daredevil Born Again, because it's getting 18 episodes. This is the biggest series season from almost any show that we've had in a long time. So I'm really excited for that. 18 episodes. That means it's going to start off real slow, guys. So be ready for it to start off real slow.
Hopefully that's not the case.
I just feel like they're going to try to explain the reason why Daredevil is here. He's been blipped. Him and Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin didn't get blipped. Daredevil got blipped, and Daredevil has to win Hell's Kitchen back.
Charlie Cox said in an interview, I think it was yesterday actually, he said that this isn't season 4, this is season 1. It's a soft reboot. So,
and he's also stated that there will be more levity to it than the Netflix series.
Well, he said that it wasn't. He said levity, but he made it a point to say it's not slapstick.
Oh yes, he definitely did.
This isn't a slapsticky type deal. This isn't. it's still going to be very much.
But it's definitely not drinking coffee every episode. It's definitely not that. It's definitely no F-bombs are going to be being dropped. But hopefully the fight scenes will still have the Netflix spirit. Hopefully the characters will still have that same spirit. And I'm ready to see what they do. I hope every character from that series isn't recast. I don't want to see a new Bullseye. Don't want to see a new Karen. Don't want to see a new Foggy. Hopefully they keep those characters. But yeah, I'm actually very excited for Ironheart because we're gonna see her in Wakanda forever. Want to see her more lean into her Tony Stark style, trying to build these Mach 1s, Mach 2, Mach 3s. Who are her villains will be Armor Wars.
Well, yeah, Armor Wars, that's the one I'm most excited about.
Really?
I've been excited about that for a minute now. That is the one where
Crimson Dynamo. You think we'll get Crimson Dynamo?
I don't know. I think Crimson Dynamo is something. Well, we could see Crimson Dynamo. Actually, I would say we have a better chance at seeing Titanium Man over.
Oh, that's cool too.
Crimson Dynamo, because Crimson Dynamo can be played as a hero, but with the way some real world things are affecting Russia, I don't know how committed they would be to that. But I will say, Armor Wars I've been excited for because I think genuinely the series might end with Rhodey becoming Iron Man, which is something that is one of the first examples of Marvel changing a main character's identity.
Does he need to become Iron Man though?
Yeah, because Rhodey, even though I like War Machine is dope as hell, his color, I've always been a fan of War Machine's color scheme, black on red on silver, the armor and all of that. But I will say that Rhodey absolutely there's just something about having a black Captain America and a black Iron Man even though I'm not an MCU head, I cannot deny that there are a bunch of kids out there who are and then would be able to go, Iron Man is black, Captain America is black,
and some of them that'll be their first instance of remembering Captain America and Iron Man. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it still trips me out that there are people out there whose first exposure to Nick Fury is him being a black guy.
Yes,
that's absolutely a possibility. There's going to be a bunch of people dig this whose first experience to Spider-Man is Miles.
Miles.
So a black Spider-Man, a black Iron Man, and a black Captain America all in a year time frame, because Across the Spider-Verse will be coming out. And you will have all of that. That's a lot.
Because if you want to be honest, when Spider-Man first came out, we were kids. We were versed in Spider-Man, but not super. Like, we saw the animated series, but then when we saw the movies, for me personally, I don't know about you, but for me personally, in my head as a child, I remember when I first saw the web shooter, I was like, so what? You're supposed to be able to shoot those organically because of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
We registered he had web shooters in the animated series, but it's like we figured that it was comic accurate for him to shoot the webs under his wrist.
Yeah.
So the movies absolutely play a heavy part in understanding these characters.
Yes.
When you're at a impressionable age, which is why it's always imperative you always get the spirit right, even if some of the power sets are up for interpretation. But I'm excited for it. I would say that one of the last few good things that the MCUification of Spider-Man did was that it laid the breadcrumbs for the Armor Wars in No Way Home, because it's like, why did Happy you saw Tony's confidants hiding his technology, which I still have a problem with, because they want to hide all of this technology but give away probably his most dangerous piece of technology to a fucking teenager. But I'm not going to
let's not go off on the tangent.
We're not gonna go on the Far From Home tangent today. I'm very much enthused with it. They say Riri is going to be in Armor Wars 2.
Of course, yes.
So
that's when we first knew, before she even was going to have her own show, we knew she was going to be Armor Wars. But definitely, I know you probably have a difference in opinion with me, but seeing knowing Monica Rambeau, knowing Kamala Khan, I'm actually very excited to see the Marvels.
Oh no, I am too. I'm gonna do this real quick.
Oh, no, that's not... Which one? Your mic is too loud?
No, I'm just...
Facts. We're back.
Yes, I legally probably couldn't say what I just said on the YouTube video, because they probably would have sniped me. But all I will say for you guys in a more PG, more politically correct, not politically correct, a more censored way.
Justin, Mama, thank y'all for tuning in. What's up?
Woo woo woo. In a more censored way. What you gotta say? What you gotta say? All I will say is that I am very confident that the Marvels will be giving what it's supposed to give. Yeah, I'm all on board with that.
I'm actually very excited for it, and I think once again from leaked set photos, man, MCU has been killing it with these costumes. I'm really enjoying their costumes lately, and they've really been killing it. Kamala, she has a spirit that I really think will mold well against kind of Bree's kind of a portrayal of Carol is a little more abrasive. Like,
well, they're saying that's not gonna be all the case with this.
I don't think she's gonna stay like that.
No, I mean like her abrasiveness. Period. I think
think they're gonna change it up completely?
This from some reliable sources. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's less abrasiveness and more how do I fit into these people's lives.
And also you got to take into account, well, we know for a fact that there's going to be some tensions between Monica and Carol.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You may or may not be very, very absolutely correct about that.
But we've seen it from when they brought her
emphasis on the may and less on the may not.
Yeah, when they brought up her name, she was like, let's not talk about her. And you could tell there was some tension there. So obviously there's something going to be on. If I had a theory, and I don't know how true it is, because when we're dealing with the cosmic energy and the Infinity Stones, we've seen 2 instances now that people have come in contact with the Infinity Stones that weren't superpowered or superhumans, that they have developed cancer, which is Jane Foster and Maria Rambeau. So
that is
no, I might be wrong. I'm just saying, but
no, I'm saying like I'm trying to think about if like that is a particularly if that is intentional.
Yeah,
that's a pretty even though I would say that. Well, no. Let me not poo-poo that at all, because when it comes down to it, assuming Jane wasn't blipped, in 2013. That's a shoot 10 years. That's shoot 10 years. If she wasn't blipped, which we can make an assumption that she wasn't, and then we can say Maria as well. That was like 20. That's 20 years from 1994 to when she died. And well, no, because she didn't get blipped. She passed away when Monica got blipped
from the cancer.
So that was probably about further along. And then we got also taken into effect that Mjolnir was exasperating Jane's cancer as well. So that is a pretty
and we know from
theory, actually.
We know from moments Marvel has sometimes screws up their timeline. They'll still do they'll still do like a story plot, but the times are all flubbed up. So it might get flubbed up. But
let me ask you this question. Since the ancient one, she was the time stone. She had the time stone, and well, no, because she got like smashed up against the wall. But do you think that was ravaging her body? Do you think?
Well, when we're dealing with people,
can we assume that's a better way to put it? Can we assume that the time stone may have played a role in her fragility?
That's why that's why I made sure I said, "Oh, be careful, son." That's why I said I trying to people with mythical and magical powers maybe have a way of offsetting it, like Mjolnir did with keeping Jane Foster. But that's why I made sure I said normal people, like regular people. Maybe that's why we see them like that. But the theory fully comes into play when I feel like Maria might feel like Carol is the reason that her mother got cancer, dealing with those powers, and she might have what's the word I'm looking for? Unreliable hate for her, or like it doesn't.
I'll put it to you like this: the reason your theory holds so much water is that one of the most significant storylines involving a Captain Marvel was them developing a type of cancer.
Yes,
and I wouldn't put that past them. I mean, at the very least, with as far as the Marvels go, I wouldn't put it past them, because it might also explain that maybe Monica would have developed cancer if she didn't go through the hex in WandaVision and that crazy stuff that kind of changed her molecular tapestry and whatnot.
Yes.
Long story short.
Oh, wow. That was cool. That was, I like that. Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah. So long story short, I'm very much looking forward to the Marvels for a litany of reasons. Also, they showed Quantumania, but they showed another trailer that no one saw because there's some very stingy folks, and they showed some Loki season 2 stuff. Confirmed that Jonathan Majors Kang versions of Kang will show up significantly in Loki season 2. So, also they said that Quantumania directly leads into the Avengers Kang War.
Yes.
So,
and I'm like I said, I've always liked the Ant-Man movies. Were they my favorites? No, but they were good. I never thought they were bad. So I'm ready to see what this one does. A lot of people are theorizing that Scott Lang will die in this one. Are you one of the people on the Scott Lang will die train, or do you feel like he will survive?
I am going to be completely and utterly honest.
And let me know in the comments, all the Geeks and Gamers, do y'all feel like Scott Lang is going to die, or do you feel like they're not going to push that on?
I think there's a very high chance that Scott and Hope dies. I think. I think that they're
both of them.
I think actually I'm gonna up the count. I think that Hank, Janet, Scott, and Hope dies.
That's dirty.
And that's what
that hurt.
I mean, I think that's what's gonna happen, and I think that's what galvanizes Cassie to make
all of her whole family.
Yeah, I think that's gonna galvanize her to make. Well, she still got her mom and stepdad, so it's not the entire family. Well, hopefully she does. But Jesus. I think that that's what's going to galvanize the creation of the Young Avengers, and I'm gonna kick it much more McClunkier than I've probably done so before. I think that the Avengers in question in Kang Dynasty is the Young Avengers. Actually, I think that that's what's going, because they're pushing Ant-Man Quantumania to be super important.
Yeah,
and I think that. I think that that's what's going to be the rub, right? You think it's going to be something involving Miss Marvel and Spider-Man, and it may very well have that at some point. But I genuinely think that the Avengers in question will be the Young Avengers. I think they're going to sidestep that whole Young Avengers. I think they're just going to push them as the Avengers. And I think that because people might not know this, but Kang is literally the primary antagonist,
baby.
Like, yeah, I think that's what's. I think that.
So you think Jonathan? Do you think Jonathan Majors will play a version of Iron Lad, or do you think they'll have a younger?
I think there's an uncast young black man out there who has yet to be revealed, and it's like they're gonna get out of the quantum realm after the ants sacrifice themselves, and they're gonna have to assemble the Avengers. And I think that everybody. I think that's the slick other thing that the Feige is telling us with this is that none of the veteran heroes you think is going to be in the Avengers are going to be Avengers. I think it's going to be all of that. I dead ass think that. I can see it happening because it happened since it didn't happen in Children Crusade. Yeah. That's Mike saying that to them folks dying. No, that's I'm serious, Mike. I think that's going to be the subversion.
I think that's too heavy. If it's me, I think personally, I would think that's too heavy.
I think that
at least leave Hank and Janet alive.
No, them folks are some goners. And they might bring one of them back when it's time for Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty to
But yeah, so
I think that they're going to. I think that it's the Young Avengers because it's like, and we said this coming out of Multiverse of Madness, Mike and Multiversity. We've talked about this as well, but it's very weird that they did not introduce Wiccan and Speed in Multiverse of Madness when that was like absolutely the time to do it. Like Mike is not feeling. I mean, I know exactly why he's saying it, but I think that it was very odd that they did not introduce Wiccan and Speed, properly. And when you had America, you had Wiccan, you had Speed, three. Well, I think Patriot is going to come sooner than later, but it just in that movie specifically, it was very weird. Almost like they didn't want. That's not when they wanted to pull the trigger.
Speaking of Patriot, how do you think they're going to introduce him? I don't think they're going to go the drug route. Do you think they're going to go? He has it in him already.
So the culmination of the drug route is you get a blood transfusion from Isaiah Bradley.
Yes,
they confirmed Isaiah will be in New World Order. So make that what you will.
Okay,
so that's all I'll say about that. That's why I'm saying like it's. I think that, and then because we're going to talk about the biggest point of contention of D23 Marvel side, because I've realized we still got a couple of more things we need to talk about. two really, because we can conflate the bottom two into one
Yeah.
thing, and then I ain't got too much to say about that last one. But I can see none of the core MCU heroes we've been accustomed to believing about Kang. I can see them not being like, I can see them not believing what Kang is doing. I can see them being wrapped up in
Or I
whatever.
can see Kang defeating them, and which goes into your theory.
No, I think that defeat is coming regardless, but I think that because I think Loki kind of foreshadowed it, that when it's time to let Kang just by hook or by crook, Kang is still just behind no one can believe Kang is the boogeyman, or something is going to stop Kang being outed before it's time. And I think the perfect way to do that is to have these untested young heroes try to put the adults on game, and they're like, well, we don't like. And again, I'm gonna go even a step further. I think Multiverse of Madness was an allusion to that as well, with the Illuminati not understanding just how badly Wanda was gonna wreck their shit. And I'm also gonna say this. I think this is how you establish the X-Men and Fantastic Four as credible as the gods, because maybe they'll in their own adventures understand that, and it's not going to be the OGs. It's going to be.
I'm glad you brought that up.
It's going to be the Young Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and X-Men who play a point. Who
do you feel like? Yeah, obviously Young Avengers are going forward, but do you feel like this next phase in Marvel's history is going to be more akin to like separate, like, each of these X-Men characters are going to have movies, X-Men, where they culminate in like a big X-Men movie, like how they did with the Avengers?
No, because that's every X-Men fan for the last 6 years, even before the Fox deal, has said, don't do that. That's not how you do that. And if they do that, it's going to be a lot of shitstorm, and they don't need that. So I think that
Ironheart, maybe.
No, I think that is, and I'm so serious when I say this. I think that they're playing with the expectations. I think that is the subversion. I think that they're expecting. And the reason why I say this is because Jane died in Love and Thunder. Because everybody
was saying she was going to be the new Thor.
Everyone was saying that Thor was probably just going to, she was going to survive, and she was going to keep the hammer.
Yes.
And she was just going to be the Thor, because like in the comics, you had Sam, you had Jane, Thor, and you had all those other characters. So I think that they're playing, it's very subversion, like they're preparing to subvert your expectations.
Yeah.
And then look at it like this. There's a lot of ways, because I see Doctor Strange. Well, what if Doctor Strange's incursion stuff with Clea is keeping him away from Earth? Because he's not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Wong has been taking a lot of more prominent roles than I thought that Doctor Strange usually would take. So
Wong is still the Sorcerer.
That was one of the things that I thought was one of the dumbest things, them killing Jane off. But
yes,
she has a potential. I feel like she has a potential to come back if we know the comic books and her becoming Valkyrie. They did do some when she came down on the winged Pegasus, and
but that's if they do that.
If they do.
But like Doctor Strange isn't the Sorcerer Supreme, so he's not tied to Earth. So Wong, and that's Wong. So he doesn't have to come back.
My nigga Wong said jail.
He got on. Wait until you see this week's episode.
Hey, my nigga Wong said prison. What?
But like I feel like there's a lot of outs for these characters. With Sam, it could be like, I'm still learning to be Captain America, so I don't have the gumption to be a leader. She-Hulk, we don't even know how married to the superhero game She-Hulk will be by the end of her series.
Because I know right now she doesn't want to be a superhero at all.
Like, and we know she gets her suit, but like how much of that is going to play into her like her core life. Spider-Man, I'm gonna be 1 billion%. The only thing I'm expecting in Spider-Man is him showing up in the Academy
again.
No, showing up in the future Academy Award-winning film for Best Animation Across the Spider-Verse. That's the only time I don't think Spider-Man is going to play another important role in the Avengers movie.
He might.
I will say he'll play an important role, but not as an Avenger.
Speaking of that, make sure y'all tune into next week's episode, because it's looking like Spider-Man universe is completely in a state that we might never seen, because the Madam Web movie dropped a lot of stuff that goes against what everybody thought the Madam Web movie was going to be. Allegedly, but we do know casting, so that we can speculate off of that, which I'm just going to say right now, you definitely want to tune in, because the theory for this is huge for me.
So yeah, like Sam, he might not want to be a leader because he's trying to earn it. She-Hulk might not really be a full-fledged hero. Doctor Strange
might not even be here.
Might be in the dark dimension for a minute trying to stop, or other dimensions trying to stop incursions. Spider-Man, nah, I think he's staying out of the big league stuff. I think he's focusing on himself, but he'll do team ups, but nothing serious. Monica, I don't know yet. I don't know if they're going to pull that trigger, especially with Kamala in the mix. She might end up being the mentor to Kamala because she's in closer proximity to her than Carol. And I'm going to be real. The only other person, matter of fact, the two other people I would say would be Avengers, they're in something else. And
go ahead and pull it up.
And
that's the thing we need to
pull. That's the most arguably the most divisive thing from this weekend, and I
definitely want to talk about
that's the Thunderbolts.
Yes, pull up that picture for me,
so
because we got the reveal for the cast.
Yes, I don't know. I'm gonna be real, from sitting here, I thought that was the Forever Red Power Rangers with them standing like that, because there's a lot of red.
Now I'm just gonna jump off and say what the meme said with Thor coming down. Give me Zemo.
No, I'm gonna do the better meme. All of these folks from the from your boy from Stranger Things,
David Harbour,
from here down, they all are the same character. They all do the same fucking thing.
I said that when I seen it, I was like, dang, they got the 3 Captain America characters.
They literally, so look, 3 Captain Americas, because I'm gonna include Bucky,
Ghost, and Taskmaster.
And no, I'm not even going there. It's 3 Captain Americas here, 2 Black Widows, and the only person with actual superpowers. And they might hold, and Ghost is lit. And they might hold Ghost out because they.
So do you feel like this is the cast, or do you feel like we do have potential to see Zemo?
I here's the thing, and I thought about it a little bit since yesterday. I think Zemo tried the Citizen V shit, but then he got caught up, and I think that they are being tasked with bringing down Zemo. I think that if Zemo is
the main villain, and he wears the mask.
No, here's why I'm telling you that this should have been a Disney Plus show based off of this roster alone. There's no diversity to this shit.
I agree.
There's and not just in the fact that there are literally, that with the exception of Ghost, these are all Caucasians. But from I wouldn't read a comic book with all of these characters on the team. Do
you think Taskmaster will have personality that they have in the comic books?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this: they confirmed it's Olga Kurylenko.
Yes, it's her. Yes.
And if you've seen any of her other work, she does know how to play charismatic very well,
which is Taskmaster. But in Black Widow, she was not at all.
And I want to point out, because this has been from a visual.
I like John.
This is concept art, and this is not finalized, because I don't think they'll stick with the Black Widow Taskmaster's design, especially if they're leaning into
OG Taskmaster.
Since they're going to be leaning into that this is a woman. I can see this not being like this, because this is a pretty. I don't feel this design, and I think they can give it a little bit more personality as well.
You think they're going to keep Ghost the same?
Ghost is. I always liked her design. It's fire.
Yeah.
I can see
David Harbour already said he's definitely getting a new suit.
And I can see Yelena having a more
all
Natasha, because in honor of Natasha.
But what you're saying, Yelena she was actually a pretty fun character in Hawkeye.
No, what I'm getting at is not that these characters aren't fun, because I know you a John Walker.
Yeah,
simp.
I like John Walker.
I know you're a simp for John Walker.
I like John Walker. And obviously Bucky
and
David Harbour.
But I'm like, the Thunderbolts typically have such a cool diversity group, like with who's on the squad. Songbirds and OG, Moonstone, Atlas, Fixer. Like, there's so many people.
I swear, I was just thinking that need real Zemo with the mask with the little crown on it,
and the real Thunderbolts, because this is just this.
R.I.P. General Ross, man.
Yes, because
obviously he was going to.
Yes, obviously he was going to be the Red Hulk. Yeah. Obviously, the Red Hulk was going to be a character in a Thunderbolts movie. That was going to happen. Look, Bucky, was on the most recent Thunderbolts team. So I see that, and plus they can probably say, well, you got pardoned, but you got one more thing to be a part of this,
Yeah, he's obviously the leader.
And plus, if Zemo is the bad guy, it makes the most
That's
sense
why they got him
to have
Yes.
Bucky. I was.
Do you think Zemo will obviously? Do you think Zemo would be a bait and switch that he's not really the main villain?
No, it's Zemo. They would, because there's no other iconic Thunderbolts villain besides Zemo, unless they go real crazy and bring in Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, which I don't think that would. Yeah. Considering this comes out after Captain America, I do not know if they will pull the trigger on a Red Skull in a Thunderbolts movie and not a Captain America sequel.
Yes.
I think this is lazy. I'm gonna just say the L word. I think that if you wanted to bring back David and Taskmaster, then just make Black Widow too. And if you wanted John, and then why not have John? Not saying that he won't, but just have him in Captain America 4. Why go dead ass? The only two straight up OG, not even OG, but significant Thunderbolt characters is Yelena and Ghost, because they were stars in a significant Thunderbolts run.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I'll even go further than that. If you wanted a way to introduce Norman, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but that's the case. I'm gonna keep it real. This would have been a perfect time to introduce Norman Osborn. Because in the
MCU, he's not a prominent person at all. But he's still alive, right? But he's not he doesn't even have Oscorp as a major corporation.
But this is how you introduce Norman Osborn as the director of the Thunderbolts and with his technology. And then eventually, when he's at a Thunderbolts meeting, they'll hear how his company was bought out, and they're moving forward without him. And that he's out.
Do you feel like they're going to do Alchemax?
And then he'll say, out am I? And then we can go from there.
Do you feel like they're going to do Oscorp or Alchemax? If you had to put your money on
Sony's doing Alchemax with Miles and the Across the Spider-Verse stuff, so I think it'll be Oscorp 1,000,000,000%. Yeah.
Shout out to Spider-Man first year. We got Black Norman with the waves on fleek. We got your boy waved up.
I'm gonna keep it real. They need to stop hiring folks who just go off of memes of superheroes. Not saying that it's bad, but we get it. You be on comic book Twitter, you like the memes, and you want to make a reality.
But yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about the Marvel D23 next week. But we got a couple more things to talk about before we get on up out of here.
We're gonna speed run it. We're gonna speed run.
Yeah, we got Pixar and Disney's movie. They got a lot. Mufasa, the prequel to The Lion King, about Mufasa's rise to power.
We don't need that. We don't.
We got Inside Out 2, which really liked it,
which is crazy because they said there's introducing new emotions, which I know
new emotions.
Yes, they're introducing new emotions into it. Wish, which is focusing on the iconic wishing star.
Elemental, which is Inside Out, but with fire and water.
So that's going to be tugging at the heartstrings.
Of course.
Wuju, which is a new, what is it? I'm trying to think of the country. It's very unique in that it's an African-based country focused story
with the two African kids as the main characters, right?
Yes. Elio, that's very interesting looking. And Snow White, which I only care about because it produced yet another Gal Gadot meme of her doing Gal Gadot.
So y'all folks get ready to cry. But one movie that I'm actually excited for.
Yes, Disenchanted. I literally gave the most heartiest. I'm just gonna say it. I love it. I gave the heartiest Stone Cold. Oh hell yeah! Enchanted one.
Excited because this movie is the original one was very enjoyable. It was funny. It had great music.
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
And to see, I always like to see when characters have evolution in their story, and they go the route that you could see them going, but you didn't believe that they would take it there. As QMG was telling me, and from the trailer, it seems that we will have Amy Adams is playing the same role, but she has turned kind of to the bitter.
She's not bitter. She's diluting herself into becoming the evil stepmother.
Yes,
which is a nice subversion.
Going from the princess to now the evil stepmom.
Which is crazy that in the last 10 years and multiple attempts at trying to be subversive with the fairy tale Disney uses, that in Disenchanted is still fresh in doing that, because I have yet to see this. happening. Not even in Once Upon a Time when they made Swan evil Swan. She was just straight up evil, but it wasn't it was played straight.
But we know Maya Rudolph is 9 times out of 10.
No, she's the bad guy.
Yes, I was just going to say Maya Rudolph is 9 times out of 10 the true evil of the.
And they have and I will forever bring this up. Enchanted had pre-frozen, and just as Wicked was taking off, Adele Dazeem, Adina Menzel, and now we are in a post-Frozen world where she is literally one of the most iconic Disney voices ever. So yeah, I
definitely be ready for the Easter eggs.
Like I cannot wait for that. Like that is something that I'm legitimately excited to see because for those who don't know, in Enchanted 1, she was the real life New Yorker who was originally engaged to Patrick Dempsey, and then she ran off with James Marsden. So
James motherfucking Marsden, and he's back,
the GOAT. And
and Dr. Gray is back as well as
Patrick. Patrick.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
So it's going to be very cool to see how living in the Disney fairy tale world has changed her, and how she's obviously going to be a lot of like Elsa, to a certain degree.
And one thing that I like about these somewhat deconstructions of the Disney formula, where they make fun of themselves, is once again the meta. We're in an age where everything is somewhat meta, like they're reference to their self. So this movie is definitely going to reference their self and the state of Disney princesses and the world that is kind of desensitized to the hopeful spirit aspect. Like everybody is kind of jaded and desensitized to true love and happiness and stuff like that,
which by the way was a talking point when this movie came out in 2010. So
exactly.
And then to see, because in 2010 it was like, oh, do we need the lovey-dovey stuff? But now with the upswing of badass independent heroic women, I would it's going to and the top, and also how toxicity, that sounds terrible, but how toxicity affects women.
Yes.
And how they deal with that. That's going to be interesting.
Facts. So they get to do a deconstruction on this genre, but also deconstructing their own ideals that may have changed over time to lead up to this. So I'm definitely ready to see it. It looks like it's going to be really interesting. So Disenchanted 2, Disenchanted is the number 2 of Enchanted. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be very interesting.
All right, so let's just wrap this up very quickly.
The question is, before we get on up out of here, I want to know your thoughts. Is the DCEU irreparable? Is there a chance that it can make a resurgence and actually be something that is of worth value? Or is it over with? It's just all in shambles everywhere, even with the new trailer, Black Adam, which I thought looked really well.
So I'm going to keep this short, sweet, to the point. I am going to simply regurgitate things that I have heard and regurgitate what I've heard based off of how accurate it has been, or what it seems to be accurate, and with as well as what I personally think. Okay, so as far as it being irreparable, the only way that is a likelihood is if the rumors / confirmations of Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck's return, and from what I literally just heard today, which I have zero clue if it's true or not, but I sincerely hope it is, a Ray Fisher reconciliation. That those three things need to happen for the DCEU to be repaired. Despite how I've personally and publicly spoken about Batgirl's cancellation, it's undeniable that left a bad taste in virtually everyone's mouth to some sort of degree in the casual space. And they're going to really need to knock things out of the park to make people they're going to need to knock things out the park and publicly say, yeah, here is the paper trail of why we made this as a business decision. But as far as irreparable goes, it's been irreparable since Justice League in 2017. And niggas are gonna be mad when I say this, but it's the truth. The only way to repair this is to go back to what Zach was doing. Zach has said this, it's brand new stuff now, so it's not going to be the stuff that's come out. But it needs to go back to the stuff at the very least Zack started and established.
Yeah.
You don't need Zack to direct that. I've said this before. Zack doesn't need to direct every single movie and have a final decision on every single thing. But it needs to, at the very least,
go off of his outline.
The movies need to pick up from where the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League started. That's how you repair it.
Yes.
It cannot, and I'm not saying I'm not going to go into my personal feelings about these things, but it cannot reference or respect Wonder Woman 84. I mean, the Suicide Squad, from what I heard, that movie was that movie is set in set after Zack Snyder's Justice League, or respects what happens in that. So that would by proxy mean it respected what happened in David Ayer Suicide Squad, the Ayer cut, which still needs to come out. But that's the only way it's repaired. If they don't do any of that stuff, even if they do 2 out of the 3 things, it's still not enough. It really, really, really isn't. I don't think that rebooting it, I think that if they reboot it, it can't be a half reboot. Like, everyone would have to go. Gal, Jason, everybody would have to go, and they would have you can't even bring in Robert. You would have to have completely different people, from creative to acting, to even remotely get people back on the board to do that. And I think at this point in time, that's asking a lot. I really think so, because I know you don't feel this way, but I have been talking to people about their opinions on the Batman, and most folks say that they can't remember it, or that it was boring.
I remember it and I liked it.
So it's that Batman was it's no The Dark Knight, and it's not even Batman Begins in terms of getting people enthused about just following that. So I know a lot of folks out there don't want to hear it, because they think that people like me are some Russian bots.
That man's a bot. He an NPC, everybody.
Who doesn't exist. But if y'all want some DC content to be consistent and, more importantly, good, then the folks up top, they got to embrace what Zack did. And from what I heard, from what I'm hearing from people who have a very good batting average, whether folks accept it or not, they're saying that's the case. It may or may not be the case. We'll find out sooner rather than later. But I know, for me personally, Ray Fisher has to come back. That's the only way I will be. That's the only way I'll be on board with it. I can't, like I've said this, and I'm gonna be consistent with it. I cannot support DC properties in film knowing Ray Fisher, and they're trying to continue something. I cannot support that, knowing that Ray Fisher's opportunity that he's earned and he knocked out of the park was stolen from him because he chose to speak out on the mistreatment on a film set. That I cannot support that with a good conscience, and I won't. So that needs to happen first and foremost for me.
Well, I agree with almost everything you said. There wasn't nothing really I disagree with. Obviously we're on 2 different sides of it, because I still will watch them just to have a educated opinion. I do agree with what you said about how Ray Fisher was treated. That shouldn't have happened. But as far as it being irreparable, like I said, I agree 100%. There's not really much I can add to it. All the things you said are the things that they almost have to do to make it enjoyable, to make it what it could have been. But with that being said, like, hopefully Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck do come back. Hopefully that Ray Fisher does get another chance. That hopefully he gets what he deserves, as in coming back and getting to play the cyborg that he wanted to play. Because some of the things that Zack Snyder was implementing and the story he was trying to tell, I really want to see that come into fruition. And I know a lot of people don't like Jared Leto's Joker. I was one of the people that thought he should have had a chance. I thought a lot of his scenes were cut where you could have got more depth of his character, and to see.
But Quentin, what about my uncle? Did you give him a chance?
All right, Pete. All right, Peter. I
mean, I agree with you about Jared Leto, but I just want to make that joke.
Yeah, in fact. But yeah, so I think,
which, by the way, the original trilogy is also on Netflix.
Yes, it is, and Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 also.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen those, for all our younger viewers, go tune into those so you can see where we get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from. But yeah, so I thought Jared Leto should definitely get a better chance. And what's weird to me is like you brought up Morbius and that movies aren't always through theatrical releases gave their due justice. I think Jared Leto is an amazing actor, and a lot of times I don't know where it comes from. And from the movies I've seen, I haven't seen Morbius, but from what I've heard, his acting wasn't bad.
Well, it's because folks believe the bullshit article about during the Suicide Squad, when Suicide Squad, the first one, came out, about him being a menace, and then it like they failed. They read those articles, but they never read the follow-ups where the literal cast member said no, it was not that bad, and it was in good fun, and they really didn't. And even when the stuff happened, Jared apologized for it and expressed, and just in case folks did take it the wrong way, but nobody was. That's what trips me out about folks. Like, Jared Leto may have a cult, which is an entirely different conversation
for another day.
But like, shit, I'm gonna be very.
Hey, 30 Seconds to Mars is buzzing though.
I'll say this, folks cap about the real world things that they have issues with. I'll say that. Not saying that it's excusable some things, but I will say this: folks tend to care when it's the people they don't like versus the people they do like, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And sometimes they'll just believe outright lies because they think that person from Jump Street is not all good.
Facts.
It is.
But so I agree with everything you were saying about what they need to do to make this thing work. But I liked the Batman. I liked Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I thought it was really good. That's one of the movies that I hope gets to stay in its own universe, a la Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I would like to see his number 2. So I feel like they need to go back to the route of Zack Snyder. That's almost a must. Ray Fisher needs to come back. But with that being said, this was a great episode. Kimchi, do you have anything you want to give a shout out? Multiversity, y'all got anything going on over on that side that y'all want to shout out before we get on up out of here?
Yes. Tomorrow, and a tweet will be going out probably in the next minute because House of the Dragons should be the initial airing should be wrapping up, in which I'll be sending out the tweet. But tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central, we will be going live with a recap of the last 3 episodes of House of the Dragons, episodes 2, 3, and 4, and giving our thoughts and opinions on it and everything, into some speculatory talk. It'll be me, Mike, and Avia. I will say just quickly, I've never watched Game of Thrones before this. I intentionally, I never had an interest, and then going into the series, it was like a last minute thing, and I have no intention on watching Game of Thrones until this series is first break, and I will then go back and watch it. I'm very much enjoying it raw. As soon as we get done with this, I'm going to go rush to my TV, and hopefully HBO Max ain't doing the monster mash, and I can watch it immediately. But yeah, House of the Dragons recap with Bold Diversity tomorrow at 11. So
and I was just at Arkansas Comic-Con this weekend. I actually got to meet Tom Kenny, got to take a photo op picture. No, I ain't got the picture with me. It's in the other room. But yes, me and my wife went there. It was lit. Shout out to Arkansas for being great hosts for a Comic-Con. It was lit. But yes, Keep It G will also be back this Monday, coming up 7:40. So you stay tuned, because every week we keep our eyes and ears to the streets for everything geek. So y'all be ready for that.
The trio is back.
Yes, QMG. I'm just so happy to be back, brother. I'm so happy to be back, man. Into the Universe, we're gonna be back. We ain't going nowhere for a long time, so y'all be ready. We got some content coming out now to talk about. So thank y'all for tuning in to Into the Universe, where we GQ smooth, always on our P's and Q's, and you know how we do. Man, it feels good to be
and
back.
Make sure you check me out on Twitch with MD Gaming. I am rocking out hardcore on that. Next time I go live, let your friends, let your family, let everybody know, because I just need y'all to comment on there while I'm streaming, and then that's the last piece of info to make me and the squad affiliates, and then we can go from there. We got new stuff unlocked. We got a whole bunch of cool stuff planned. So
yeah. And with that being said, we out. Peace.
Go Bears. Bears is undefeated this season.
Facts. We're undefeated right now.
Woo-woo.
Facts.
Peace.